Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This morning we're doing some preliminary hand load testing for my 7mm-08, specifically the Browning X Bolt White Gold Medallion. First up is going to be the 132 Hammer HHT bullets. Well, as you can see initially, kind of a mixed bag of results. There is some good to take away from the range session, and I'll dive into that here in a little bit. But man, I got to give everybody props that shoots without a brake, without a suppressor, and with a heavier trigger, because I am not used to that whatsoever. So that could have played into the group sizes that I received today. But okay, so our powder charge weights were from 40.5 to 43.5 in 1 grain increments. Now, I received this powder charge information from Vihtavouri's website for N540 using a 130 grain bullet. We started off, this was my very first group, like legitimate group out of the rifle. I did shoot a couple siders to get the scope lined up where I wanted to go. But this was the first full group, and I was pleasantly surprised that it was a 0.76 inch group. It looked a lot bigger in the scope. But our extreme spread and standard deviation were less than ideal. Velocity was pretty good, 2787. Now I'm not going for super high velocity just because it's going to be a short range to medium range hunting rifle. I've got the 6.8 Western for the longer range cartridge for those longer range shots. So I'm going to be kind of conservative with velocity. I'm not going to be chasing velocity out of this rifle, right? Moving up to the very top end at 43.5 grains, we just peaked over 3,000 feet per second. However, extreme spread and standard deviation numbers were also trash. Did get us under a 1 inch group, but I was getting some pretty good pressure signs on the brass, and I'll show you guys that here in a little bit. So this is definitely out. 42.5 is pretty much the max charge weight for this bullet for the seating depth that I have it seated at. Going forward, I definitely am going to try some lower powder charge weights under that 40.5 grain powder charge weight, just to see if I can't tighten up those extreme spread and standard deviation numbers. Now, historically, when we get these higher extreme spread and standard deviation numbers, it usually means that the there's a combustion issue with the powder charge weight and the primer not marrying together and acting accordingly. So I'm not even going to worry about doing a seating depth test with these, just because of with the current charge weights that I shot, just because I'm not getting the extreme spread and standard deviation numbers that I want. So I won't be wasting components doing that. Now, coincidentally, moving down charge weights to smaller charge weights under that 40.5 grain weight, I should be getting less felt recoil, which is going to be advantageous to me due to the fact that I'm not shooting with a suppressor or a brake. So that'll help with some flinch as I'm feeling the full brunt of the recoil of the rifle. Now, the recoil isn't terrible, but I've definitely been spoiled with shooting suppressed hunting rifles for the past 3 or 4 years. Okay, taking a look at some brass. These were the 132 HHTs, and this was the 43.5 grain charge weight. As you can see, we've got a good ejector swipe on the head of the case, that shiny part, and I can rub my finger over the primer indentation, and my fingernail catches a little bit. So we're definitely getting some cratering of that primer. So that's what I mean by we're hitting some pretty good pressure signs at the 43.5 grain powder charge weight. Compare that to just the 42.5 grain charge weight, and we're not getting that ejector swipe. So a little bit of pressure sign there. You can see the ejector mark right there. So we're just hitting pressure signs with the 42.5 grain charge weight. This was another really bad one at that 43.5 grain charge weight. You can really see that pretty blatantly there with the ejector mark on that. So that's what I mean by getting pressure signs there. Moving on. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Moving forward, we do have a clear path going forward to try out some different combinations with this bullet and powder charge weight. So the less than ideal range session today, I'm not too worried about it. We've got room to improve. So also on that note, I'm definitely going to get a drop-in trigger for the rifle. I've been spoiled for the last few years shooting the 6.8 Western with a nice Trigger Tech trigger in it, and I'm gonna get a drop-in trigger that I can adjust really low, much lower than what you can get with just tuning the factory set screw with the factory trigger, and lower than what you can get with replacement springs for the factory trigger. So that's gonna be another piece of gear that I'm gonna be putting in the rifle, because I'm spoiled when it comes to that. So I wanna make sure, you know, I'm getting the best results out of the rifle as I can by reducing as much shooter error as I can. And historically for me, that's a lightweight trigger. So I'm not, you know, pulling the, you know, jerking the trigger around too much. So with that being said, if you guys want to support the channel, go ahead and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you guys can follow along with further load development with this bullet out of my rifle. Whether you guys are a new reloader for 7mm-08 and need a little guidance, or if you guys are already loading for 7mm-08, you know, follow along and compare the results that I get with your guys' hand loading sessions. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.